coming through Brea and into Placentia, Southern California, Orange County, California. Hope all is well with you guys. I wanted to hop on here and have you join me on another drive through Southern California on Southern California Perspectives here on Aaron Villarreal Real Estate here on YouTube and wherever else you may be following. Thank you for joining me. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the market. This year, 2026, has been a tricky year. I think there's a lot going on in the world, in the economy, that has made real estate maybe a little bit less of a priority for some people. And I get it, all things considered, though, if you're looking to buy or sell, that it's still happening, no doubt, but maybe not at the feverish pace that you might be used to from even just a few years ago. But Orange County's still got strong housing values, that's for sure, but it is certainly getting down to the niche pockets and details of every listing that I've listed that are contributing major factors to your home selling or not. And as we come through here, this Stater Brothers here on the right hand side in Placentia off of Imperial here was the first Stater Brothers, my first job I've ever worked at, and it was a great experience. You never know where the first job's going to be, especially when you're like, a late teenager and just getting your first gig, but good memories driving by here. All that said, I've got Chuck E. Cheese here on the left. That was the one that I used to go to. Remember when Chuck E. Cheese was like kind of low-key creepy? Like when I was a kid, it was kind of scary a little bit. It didn't scare me necessarily, but I remember having friends that were like, oh, I don't know if I like these animatronics. They're kind of trippy to see people. But coming through here, just leaving Brea into North Placentia now, and this is a street that I frequented a lot, obviously having worked at the Stater Brothers right here. But driving through this part of town always brings nostalgia to me. Show of hands, do any of you in the comments, do you ever drive through where you grew up? I mean, I know I'm not alone, and it's fun to do. Be a little more nostalgic every once in a while, especially if we got a little window of time. But Bass and Cherry, this is where I grew up, right off here. But all in all, the market has been unique, that's for sure. Properties that are marketed well with a good agent, tend to move fairly quickly still, but it depends on what neighborhood it's in, what location it is, which city, obviously. Is it on a busy road? Does it have a funky quirk like, a second garage or solar that's leased, or does it have a pool that's in dire need of being redone and replastered? Things like that have made it not quite a slam dunk for every home that hits the market. But we are still needing inventory historically year over year. We're still slightly on the low end with inventory, but I will say there's not quite as many buyers this year as there have been in the last couple of years past. And with that, it's something that you just got to pay attention to. If you're a seller that needs to sell quickly, there are certainly options for that pretty much 24/7. At least when you work with me, I can get you offers almost immediately depending on what your goals are and what you're needing to accomplish. But that can come at an expense, of course. There's also the reality that you will likely, in many cases, net more if you go a different route. But that all depends, So driving through here, again, shifting gears, being nostalgic here. This is my old stomping grounds where I grew up with my brother and two sisters and my mom and dad. My brother still works in this area very often, and it's a great part of Placentia up here, real close to El Dorado High School, which go Hawks. But coming through here, many of you especially if you grew up in Placentia, probably recognize the house that I passed by here on Birkenstock Lane a little bit ago. Fun fact, that super cool historic River Rock home was my grandparents' home. Now it is owned by one of my aunts, but it's an awesome home right here on Birkenstock Lane. Tons of memories for me and my family here. 830 Birkenstock Lane. So if you recognize it, let me know in the comments. But yeah, coming down here, Hamer Drive, this is where I grew up. And my house is right here on the right, where I grew up, 1843. But yeah, this street has changed a bit since I lived here. But you know, some of my friends' houses right here that I grew up. Shout out to my buddy Josh, who I just had dinner with. It's good catching up with you, dude. But yeah, North Placentia. It's a cool part of town. Lots of people love it. It's got it's a quiet suburb, that's for sure. It reminiscent a little bit of Yorba Linda. Not as many people necessarily like know it right off the bat, but it's a great place to live. I certainly obviously I'm a little biased because I grew up here, but it's a great part of town. You don't get a whole lot of traffic in this area, but you're still fairly close to freeway access and stuff. And Placentia, you know, people take care of their stuff, nice yards and friendly people. Had great neighbors growing up, you know. But yeah, coming down here, coming up to another historic property, the Wagner House. This one has a ton of historical significance, and I'm glad to see that it's largely being maintained by, I believe, the city technically. So that's cool to see. And on the left here is Kelly's Corner. That's a super well-known bar in the area. But yeah, here's the Wagner House right in front of us on the left here. Cool property for sure. And then you've got Rich Farm Ice Cream. That's some really bomb ice cream if you love ice cream. My wife and I love ice cream, so I tend to know where the good ice cream is located. And then, yeah, like I said, this real estate market, it's tricky for sellers, especially that ones that were used to the hustle and bustle of 2020, 21, and 2022, you know. But all in all, it can still be accomplished. But like I was saying earlier, it's important to consider what it may cost for the convenience of needing to sell quickly. You might lose some money that you could have had if we were patient on the open market. And so that's why I always caution, you know, it depends on the details. Just because someone wants to buy or sell a home doesn't necessarily mean that it's all systems go, let's make it happen. A lot of times, and I would say the majority of the time clients approach me, they're not quite sure where to start. And that's okay too, you know. I pride myself in being that liaison and advisor to help you prepare and plan for your real estate plans, because a lot of times a big purchase like buying a home or selling one, it a lot of times happens when you're not expecting it, or if you were expecting it, you might not be fully prepared if you've never done it before. So if you need guidance, I'm your guy for that. And I'm super grateful for all of you that tune in and follow along with me. I'm going to take a quick shortcut. A lot of people don't know this. Linda Vista Street connects you right to Rose Drive. And I used to take this shortcut all the time growing up with my brother a lot of times, who's actually calling me right now. So I'm going to sign off for now. Super grateful for you guys following along on Aaron Villarreal Real Estate here in Orange County, Southern California. Thanks for joining me. And please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. I want to keep putting out good content that's worthwhile for you to watch. And I'll see you next time. Signing off.